but thanks for listening. Yeah. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to We Say Things, episode 241. Sunsman here with Cinderin. I am horribly actually, the jet lag is not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I'm handling it quite well, but I am quite tired, and Cinderin is also just waking up and distracted by something in the room.
No, I just moved my floor fan out of the shot, and then I switched it on. It is hot and humid.
Oh.
Hot by Danish standards, of course. You'd be like, it's not hot at all, but it's different for us. So
humidity I don't handle well, so it might actually be hot for me. Okay, what's
relatable then.
Not to make this longer than it needs to be. What's the temperature in Fahrenheit, please?
Oh God.
And the humidity percentage.
64 Fahrenheit, and the humidity is 69%.
Which
is nice.
That's pretty high humidity. Wait.
Yeah,
wait, hold on. Say it again. Temperature
69% humidity.
That's pretty high.
The temperature is 64 Fahrenheit, which is nothing. But it's just when it's this humid, it feels sticky,
Right. Yeah.
It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Gotta air out the house as well as I can today.
Okay. Very nice. All right. Thank you to our beautiful patrons who've been waiting patiently for us to return. Lakers in 5. Thank you for your patronage. Amish Toaster, SVG, and Cap versus Sons and Sin 2v2 third-party ref format like Around the Horn on ESPN. That would be pretty fun.
Wait, is Amish Toaster their name, or is it the game that we're playing?
I think that's his name, yes.
What? What's an Amish Toaster 2v2? I kind of want to play that game.
No matter than a hatter. Once you go bidet, you don't go back. God, that's so true. Captain Broccoli, STGC Daniel, Pyrian 1 belch off and took the kids. Mr. I Love the NBA segment, the episode where Bronny is an elite shooter, just not at basketball. Okay, I wasn't going to do... Okay, I'm going to do in a in Bruges tier NBA segment. It's not really.
Okay.
So, Bronny James, the son of LeBron James, he's been really bad in Summer League, okay? Like his first couple games, he went like 1 for 19 or something ridiculously bad. And then on one of the days, he won a Call of Duty tournament. So the whole meme is he's going to go pro in Call of Duty. Thank you also to Pepperballs, T Coil, Q Ludes is ready to praise the podcast, and Yotoro does it again, Cinderin.
And Vlad, let's have Puppy on the podcast. Disco Farm D, The Megapope, Zan Xavier, Shark TM, Janie, Dop, Nothing to See Here, Yes Oui Vraiment, Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and Vanta Black is so dark that it absorbs 99.965% of visible light, making it the closest thing to a black hole on Earth. Mr. N. Oh, you go by Mr. N now, kid, huh? I didn't know this was the exact percentage, but I've seen 1 or 2 YouTube videos about this. Have you seen it before?
No.
Those videos?
No.
It's where people take this Vanta Black, which is like a scientifically developed, like every paint, I suppose, and they paint a room, and there is nothing in there. It looks incredible, actually, when you...
Interesting.
Because you're used to whenever you see something on camera, right? There has to be light. But it's like it's darker. It's essentially darker than if you have a room with the lights switched off and the windows closed, almost. It's kind of it's fascinating. You should take a look at how it interacts with.
I will look at a YouTube video. Very nice. Thank you, Mr. N.
Mr. N.
All right, on to the Riyadh Masters. So I guess we can split this up a bit. We have the tournament itself, we have our predictions, and then my experience, I suppose.
Yes.
What order do you want to go in?
Well, I think you should just lead this. You were the one who were there, right? So you tell the story however you like.
Okay, I'll tell the story about my experience, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you guys know, I was not invited for casting, which I initially was very sad about, but then I ended up getting invited last minute for a thing that they're calling, it was called HQ, and then in the middle of, like after week 1, they changed it to be called Central. But essentially the pitch is, it's kind of like one of those shows that's for the Olympics that's covering a bunch of sports at the same time. So you have like a host, general host, and then you have experts for those games. And the first week it was Free Fire, which is a battle royale mobile game, and MLBB, which is Dota. Well, it literally looks like League of Legends. I think they got sued by Riot because it looks so much like League of Legends, but it's a mobile version. And both of those games are really popular in SEA and then Dota. And then the second week was Counter-Strike 2 and PUBG Mobile. So the idea is you're sitting on a couch. The way that it was pitched to me, it was like Inside the NBA, which, like I've said many a time, is a show that I have been inspired by throughout my entire career. I think that the way they do things is amazing. It's very impromptu, not much script involved. So the way that was kind of pitched to me was Inside the NBA, which made me pretty excited. Like, oh, this is cool. Wasn't quite like that. A lot more scripted than I would have liked personally. They had, and the other thing I didn't mention is like the viewership weren't really expecting much. I don't know what the peak was, but the most I saw at any point was like 500. So it's not that many people, but the point of it isn't for the viewership. The idea is two parts. Number one, to funnel people in and then get them to go watch the main streams if they're interested in the game. And then number two, it's actually more as a, what's the word for it? Shit. Why can't I remember the name? It's like a practice
Gateway
run,
drug.
Whatever. I don't know what to call it. It's like a practice run to show investors, sponsors.
Proof of concept.
Proof of concept, thank you. And apparently a lot of the people watching, a very high percentage of the people watching were higher ups from EWC and Saudi princes, among other things. So it was kind of I think that's the reason it was a little bit more scripted, because if I was running the show, it would have been actually like Inside the NBA, very impromptu. You're just having casual conversation, which, second week was definitely better than the first because wasn't really into the other games. But when Counter-Strike 2 came on, it was much easier to talk about other games instead of me just sitting there,
right,
chilling. But yeah, the experience, it was definitely interesting. I enjoyed it. Obviously, I prefer casting, but it was still a good experience overall. And then, of course, I got to Mama Noura's, my favorite restaurant on earth at this point, the shawarma place that I rave about. I had that 4 times, I think. A lot of talent refused to leave the hotel, which makes me really sad. But a few people left to go to Mama Noura's, like Fogged. I finally got Slacks and Jenkins to go. Last year, I could not get them out because their schedule was ridiculous. But, how
was your schedule for this compared to casting? Was it a lot more
There was
hours,
a lot more involved, yeah. So I got plenty of sleep, but I'd wake up at like, let's say 10 a.m. because I had to get breakfast, Basically, I just have to get coffee to get my bowels going, all right? That's really the idea. I like to evacuate everything before the workday. That's rule number 1 for me. Never want to have one of those artifact experiences again where I almost shit myself on camera. So we get on a shuttle at 1, get there at 1:30, rehearsal at 2.
Rehearsal every day?
Rehearsal every day at 2 till 5. Then from 5 to 6 is makeup. And then 6, we can eat dinner. 7 to 11 is the show. So another reason the first week was brutal is because that was the actual schedule every day. Second week, they started allowing us to come in a little bit later. And then eventually, because I think another thing is the second week was more experienced people with me. So they realized that we just don't need rehearsal ever. Like I didn't need rehearsal for any of the first week, but just sitting around.
Right.
And we're in like this little skybox that's right on the boulevard. And it was insanely hot during the day. They had 2 ACs in there. It did almost nothing. We had to beg them to put in curtains to block, because it's not even, the sun's not even coming in the glass. It's just heating the building, and then the glass gets heated with it, and you can just feel the heat emanating off of the glass. So eventually they got a curtain that helped quite a bit, and then the show wasn't until nighttime, so it was cool by then.
Right.
So yeah, it was much more professional than I'm used to, but like I said, it got easier. And I think they they were very taken aback. And this is an interesting side note. They were taken aback about how I had very little energy at first, right? I'm like, did you not watch anything I've ever done? But I think what I realize is, and I know we've said this many a time about other aspects of it, but Dota is in its own bubble, and I really felt it with this. Everybody is just so much more professional. They're trying to do things by the book, which is why that's not my style. But I think
sounds boring, man.
I know. I eventually made it work, and eventually they trusted me with like my humor and doing stuff, and I think they ended up enjoying what I brought to the table. But I can tell
that's when the viewership peaked.
I could tell that like at first they were pretty scared that I was going to be really dog shit.
Was it because you were belching in the green room among 20 people that had never met you before?
I do not do that in front of other people. So the host, I forgot to mention, was Quickshot. He's an old League of Legends caster. He's a nice guy. Probably the polar opposite of me when it comes to energy. Literal opposite. And off camera, he has just as much energy. And I think at first people... Like, that's the other thing. I feel like it's hard to really gauge what people think of you, especially since, like, for me in Dota, my first impression doesn't happen anymore. I've known everybody for so long. Everybody knows what I'm like. People's first impression of me, I'm realizing it's really shit. It's really bad. I look like I don't care. I mean, to some degree, of course I don't care, but like I think I don't like faking energy.
Right. Like
Quickshot, he's really good at filling like dead space, which again the first week was definitely needed. He's good at keeping the energy up, but I'm always the kind of guy that it's like if you were putting that much energy, and this is not about Quickshot in specific, but just in general I'm talking about. If the energy is always up here, then when something cool happens, it's not cool because you're already peaking.
Yeah.
Which is why obviously I like the way that I do things. There's a reason I do it the way I do, right? So, but it's just interesting to see the difference. It's stark. It's truly crazy, the difference between Dota and every other game.
So who was your favorite new person that you met, right? Because that's something that's different about this, is that you worked with nobody you've worked with before, right? Everybody was new.
Yeah. I mean,
so
maybe I'm being a little too negative about this experience, but yeah, all the people were great. Like I said, the producers, they're very by the book, but it doesn't mean they're not good. They're very good. I met some producers that were really nice. So honestly, all the talent that I worked with, there was a woman named Bunny that did Free Fire. She was really nice. The MLBB guy named Jays. It's cool to, even if I don't like the games, to learn about them. I feel like it, even as like just a game designer, I think just seeing some of that stuff helps me put things in perspective. And then obviously Quickshot I mentioned as the host. And then for this last week, I had Mac from CEST, who was really nice. And Toby, what was his full name? Toby, my name is Toby, was the PUBG mobile guy. He's also very nice. He's from Denmark, actually.
Oh, okay.
I told him that my co-caster's also Danish, and he was thrilled to hear that there's a Danish.
Oh yes, that's
caster.
Really nice. So the reason I was just laughing was that I was like, I feel like Bunny is a name I've heard before, but I think it might be a coach from a different game or whatever. I don't know why that sounds familiar. So I just went and I was like, all right, I'll Google it. So I Googled Bunny talent Free Fire. And the pictures that I get are literally skins where you're a fucking bunny.
I don't think that's her. Yeah, fairly sure.
No, what kind of shooter is that? It's like a bunny with a full-on guerrilla warrior outfit. Just a bunny head. Really fucking stupid. Well, I'm sure you had a field day with that. Anyway.
Yeah, the whole experience was really good. Last thing I didn't mention. This time around, even though I wasn't casting, first of all, the casting schedule from last year and this year apparently just it's the easiest job in the world. Holy shit. 1 best of 3 a day, maybe a best of 2 a day. That's it. They're on camera for a total of 5 seconds, no makeup needed. What a fucking dream. Last year there was no camera though, so I could have my feet up with shorts and sandals. So it was a little bit better last year. But yeah, so last year I didn't run into anybody that recognized me. I didn't see any actual Dota fans, if that makes sense. And I think there were some games that you could tell that there were a lot more people. Like for MLBB, there was actually a ton of fans there. Dota, I actually ran into some people that were fans. One of which, a local from Saudi, told me that he was going to bring me hot sauce. It's like, I'm going to try to sneak you in some hot sauce because that's the hot sauce I'm obsessed with at Mama Noura. And he came through. Final day, he has somebody bring it up to my green room. 12 bottles of crystal hot sauce.
Oh, damn.
Which I buried in my suitcase and smuggled into the United States of America. I did not go through customs, did not declare it. Don't tell anybody.
Oh,
it's fucking good. Is
that a flammable liquid?
Hot sauce?
Did you put everybody's lives in danger by bringing hot sauce on your plane?
I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I think should be fine. It's not that hot, really, for being honest. Yeah, so it was very interesting experience. Definitely not normal for me since casting. I can just show up, do my thing, and I mean, the main thing I didn't like is that it just took up most of the day. So that's about it. All right. Okay. So the tournament itself, Mr. Cinderman. So the groups, to start things out, this was before I got there, but G2IG ends up losing in the groups along with Azure Ray. That one was surprising to me. I know that they haven't been playing that well.
We covered this already, right?
Did we?
I feel like we've covered this, and then we did our predictions based on the play-ins, right? Because I think otherwise, some things I think both of us we wouldn't have done. This seems familiar that we've gone over these groups, so I think we've done that. So
okay.
If you start off with the main group stage, I think that's
all right. So on to the main groups. Group A, which I consider to be the group of death. Falcon, Spirit, Gaiman, OG get top 4, so that secures upper bracket. Aurora, LGD scrape by lower bracket. Heroic and Blacklist International eliminated. And the thing about Heroic that I found, and I wasn't not allowed to talk about it on the show that I was on, but I think they made it clear that we don't want to focus on the negative as much. But so Heroic, I think, started, I want to say 4-0 or 4-2. Okay. And I don't think this was public. Maybe it was. You tell me if you've heard about it. The Dubai servers were broken the first couple days of the tournament, of this group stage. So everybody had to play on Europe. Everybody had 80 ping. Heroic are used to playing with 80 ping, and they come out swinging. They're like, I don't remember their exact record. It was like 4-0 or 4-2 or something. They fix the servers. Everybody has normal ping again. They win a single game the rest of the way.
I mean, 80 ping is not that bad, is it?
So it could be a coincidence, but I found it to be an interesting storyline. Because
for me, that would be way more significant if it was like 120 plus or whatever. Even 100. But like, I'm saying obviously 80 ping and 0 ping are two different things, but I would say most players would be used to playing with like at least like 50-ish, right? When you're playing something online. So maybe it matters more than I think, 80. It could also just be a hot start and then falling flat. That happens to them plenty of times, to be honest. They get figured out after the first few series and then at this level.
Yep, could be.
Okay, so that was Group A.
Then Group B, Tundra, Entity, Liquid, and Wanamanapia XG end up taking the top 4 for upper bracket. PSG Quest and BetBoom, aka BB Team, lower bracket, and then Beast Coast and Mouse were eliminated. So I would think on this one, the elimination's neither of them, I guess, were that surprising.
Not that surprising. The thing about Group A was both Heroic and Blacklist got top 2 in the play-ins, right? So you would probably have pretty high hopes for Heroic. You know, the play-ins are a different beast because the level is lower, right? The opponents are not going to be as good as in the main tournament, but Heroic went 8-2 there, and Blacklist went 7-3, and then they still lose their group. It really goes to show how challenging it can be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Aurora did make it through, though, despite getting third in the play-ins. But it's one of those examples of maybe a team that has a little bit more edge when it really matters against the best teams. I still think both Heroic and Blacklist do not have that good track records in the major international competitions against the best teams. Heroic had this one LAN where they were doing quite well, but then when they met the Giants, they still felt like they were a bit behind. So anyway, that's still somewhat expected, I guess, overall. I'm looking at these groups, and I'm not really surprised by anything.
I think the only surprise maybe is BetBoom not being upper bracket and Entity being upper bracket. Yeah, I believe I had Entity as a dark horse, but we'll talk about that when we talk about predictions. Or maybe it was PSG Quest. I don't remember. So into the brackets we go. Falcons. I mean, I guess we can just skip ahead a bit. So the interesting series was Falcons versus Gaming Gladiators in the upper bracket semis. Gaming Gladiators wins 2-1. So that was a bit of a surprise.
Short games. Yeah. Very short games.
Every gaming series pretty much is about 33 minutes-ish. Game 3 of that series, I think it was Malrine that picked I think it was Amar that picked Huskar, and he went mid with it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And they got trounced, so... and then upper bracket semis for the other side, Liquid versus Tundra. Liquid beat Tundra 2-1. So then Gaming Gladiators play Team Liquid. Many a times we've seen this before. They get 2-0'd, pretty much stomped, 33-minute games each way. And then in the lower bracket, I think a couple of surprises. BetBoom end up going out relatively early. I thought they'd do better than this. They lose to Tundra.
They got top 8, right?
Yeah. PSG Quest, I should mention OG lose out right away after starting upper bracket. So that was also slightly surprising.
I bet Boom got top 6. It's not that bad.
I mean, yeah, it's not a dramatic. I mean, I feel like they're usually top 4, top 3, but they underperformed still. But yeah, it wasn't like drastic. So PSG Quest, they went on a tear in the lower bracket. They beat OG, they beat Team Spirit, huge upsets, and they get close to upsetting Falcons, but Falcons take them out 2-1 in the end. So then Falcons plays Tundra. It looks like they're going to sweep the lower bracket. That was my prediction. They 2-0 Tundra, and then they face off against Liquid in the final day, and they look like shit somehow. They lose to Liquid 2-0. So Falcons gets third. So then we get the best of 5 Gaming Gladiators versus Team Liquid. And before this series started, what do you think I said the score would be, Cinderin?
3-0 Gaming, of course.
Correct. And that is exactly what happened. Game 2 was the longest. It was 46 minutes. It didn't feel like it was close. It just felt like Liquid were delaying, like just holding off, but they weren't really making headway to actually take over the game. And the other 2 games were 24 minutes and 30 minutes respectively. Series was not close. So Gaiman win Riyadh Masters, and it feels like it's their patch all of a sudden. This Pipe, Crimson, all auras group up and win. Very strong right now, it seems.
Yeah, that's the perfect patch for this team, or the perfect archetype of patch for the team, for sure. They're the best at it. It's just how it is. They're the best when that's what the playstyle is, and we've cycled back to it. I say cycled back. I feel like auras haven't been like truly bad for a long time, but they were worse than they are now for a while. But yep, it's also a matter of, is it an aura patch because the auras are good, or is it an aura patch because Gaming Gladiators are in form and then they're just better than everyone and therefore auras look good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's
a bit hard to say.
So I didn't get to watch every game in detail because I was in rehearsal most of the time. But is Team Liquid an aura? I think they are. They're just worse at it, right? I mean,
not in particular, I would say. Not nearly as much, at least, as gaming.
Because I know Falcons wasn't. They're kind of just their own thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, congrats to Gaiman. A boring grand. I mean, beat Liquid 5 games in a row in the
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm laughing, is that it's just, unfortunately for the fans, it's like the worst finals you can get. And we've got it so many times, but it always seems like it always goes the same. I think, was there one time Liquid won? No, there wasn't, actually.
Not in a grand finals, that's for sure.
Right. They've never beaten them in a finals. I think their win rate in games in grand finals against them has to be like under 20%.
Oh, easily.
Like, genuinely.
I mean, they've beaten them in matches for like Dream League. I can't remember what it was, but
it can't have been for Dream League, surely.
Oh, that's
Liquid
true. Not
don't
Dream
even
League.
Make it out of group.
Yeah, true. They definitely beat them in something, and maybe they beat them in some playoff scenario, but it was never in like an upper bracket finals or a grand finals.
Right. But the silver lining here, which is a pretty major silver lining for Liquid, is this is still a really good result. Like, it sucks to not win the tournaments. I get that, but they got second, and this was a team that. Let's talk predictions real quick then. I guess this is a good segue to that. So they were your white donkey, and I thought they were a pretty good pick for that because, like, recently and in general, Liquid are a little bit of a mystery sometimes. Some tournaments they look really poor, some tournaments they look really good, and their trajectory hadn't been great going into this. But I would say second place is way better than I would have expected for them. I would have placed them maybe top 6. So I think this is a really good result, personally, for how they were looking. But we obviously only have access to very little information, right? They might have been crushing it in scrims. They might have been in really good form. Maybe they really figured something out, whatever it is. This game changes all the time. But good result for them. Game and obviously winning is awesome for them. Our top 3s, or sorry, I should say my white donkey was Falcons. And it was with the caveat we were talking about, all right, what's a disappointment for them is being out of top 3. So I was also wrong because they just made top 3. So our donkeys were poor choices. Then Dark Horse, you had OG, who got...
Really? I picked OG, huh?
Let me see. OG got 9 through 12th. So I would say that does not qualify as a Dark Horse performance from them.
Nope.
And I had PSG Quest, who got 5th, 6th, which I do think qualifies. Because that's probably a team you would either expect in the lower half or maybe 7, 8.
Right.
So they did well. I think they should be happy with their result. I bet they are. 6th place in this kind of tournament is very good for that kind of team. And then our top 3s, you had Falcons, Spirit, and Entity, which nets you a total of absolutely nothing. And I had Spirit, Gaming, and Bet Boom. So I get 1 of 3.
Wow.
I said I felt like Gaming might be good this tournament, but Spirit definitely...
Wait, who was my top 3?
Falcons, Spirit, and Entity.
I get 1.
Oh, you got Falcons. You got Falcons. You're right. Right, you got Falcons. That's true.
Yes.
But I got the better pick because I got the winners.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you slightly won this one. Slightly.
I mean, slightly, because my Dark Horse also did better or whatever.
So
but I think let's just agree that we both sucked.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Pretty bad. And it's funny that we're seeing history kind of repeat itself over and over again, but again, a team wins a bunch of tournaments. They look unstoppable. Patches come. They get worse. They don't win the big one, Riyadh Masters. And we'll see what happens with TI.
Yeah.
Have Falcons been patched out?
And the other thing is this Spirit's worst result in like the really big tournaments in recent years?
They were very disappointing. Yeah,
they got 7th, 8th. I had them in my top 3 and maybe as the entire tournament winners because they seem to, level up for these really big events. Just didn't this time. Maybe they don't. Maybe the type of... Like you talked about the aura patch. I feel like Spirit, when they're at their best, they can play any version of the game. But yeah, this time just didn't quite make it.
See, the thing about the aura patch, though, you would think on some level Falcons would take advantage of that more because of AUI and Skeeter and Snaking, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, is it... How much of a style is that? I feel like stylistically, the way Amar and Malrine play is a lot more about individual pop-offs and really good, they're extremely good at skirmishing and at fight selection and at playing the map. And arguably, aura patches make two of those factors less significant because the fight selection is on your terms when you have the auras. It's just a clash, right? And the map play also gets trickier because teams that are really good at just being strong at specific timings and balling up, split pushing is very hard. So I would say some of the edges that Falcons have had for months are less significant in a patch and a meta rather, where people are playing a lot of like these dark seers with auras, or for a team like Gaming Gladiators, they play all of them, right? So it's that's my take on it, at least, is that's just going to make it harder for them. So, but we'll see. There's probably going to be one patch before TI, I would imagine. As TI is in September, we're probably getting one in August. I don't think the game goes unchanged until then.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think auras will be nerfed at least a little bit.
Yeah, but likely.
I don't think they're going to drastically get nerfed though. How often does something drastically get nerfed before TI? Maybe it has. I just have terrible memory.
It has, but even just like little tweaks here and there can make a very big difference. Because like aura metas it's always an equilibrium. I mean, every strategy really is, right? But you look at the economy, how valuable is the item for what it costs? How long is your moment of opportunity? And how much do you need to accomplish? And if they're cheap and valuable, and it is easier to push than it used to be, if all those things line up, then imagine you tweak one or two of those things by even a slight amount, and suddenly the cost benefit becomes skewed very quickly. It doesn't take a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we should mention the MVP of the tournament was Quinn, which apparently has a cash prize in this tournament. I think that generally is not the case in any other event. It's generally just an honor, right? Or we don't even do MVPs really in Dota in the same way they do in CS.
Mm-hmm.
In CS, they have an MVP for like every tournament. I don't know if there's a prize attached to it there, to be honest. Maybe sometimes there is. But for Dota, this is quite unusual.
$50K.
Congrats to him on the MVP selection.
Yeah,
do you feel like that was deserved?
I didn't even know that. Like I said, I didn't get to watch almost any games.
Oh, I see.
I heard he was winning all his lanes though, so I'll assume so.
Yeah, especially supposedly, like, I don't know. He was. We've just talked this aura stuff to death, right? But if your mid player's just owning, that helps, right?
True.
Like maybe we're oversimplifying it a little bit. Sometimes teams and players are just in form, and he was crushing. So, then that's how it goes. That's kind of how. What did you get to watch then? Because you had to watch multiple games, but you didn't have a lot of time for any of them, right? That's kind of
so. During rehearsal, can't watch anything. They have like TVs in the studio, and they're all pretty far away, so it's actually hard to even, like, if it's for Counter-Strike, you can probably tell what's going on, but for Dota, not really.
Right.
And then after I get makeup, we can chill in our green room a bit, and there is a TV there, but it has to be on the right game, so there's 1 out of 3 chance that it's on the right game. Otherwise, I have to watch it on my phone. And that's with whatever free time I would have, which was not
You
much.
would think when you do a setup where the talent needs to talk about multiple games, you would show all of the games they're talking about in the green room. I find that to be honestly surprising.
With 2 days left on my second week, they put a second TV in there.
There should have been 3 from the start, each showing 1 game. Like, that's just right. Surely.
Yeah. Proof of concept, Synderen. Okay.
Yeah, but if you guys are supposed to do a job where you talk about multiple games, they can't show you 1 game and then expect you to talk about 3.
Yeah, it's funny because like the PUBG stuff, like I think only 1 day it happened, so the PUBG guy didn't really get to talk that much. But CS2, Mac, he couldn't watch any of the games, and they kept asking him what happened. He's like, I have no idea, I didn't get to see it. So it was kind of
all right.
It was just one of those kind of deals.
Proof of concept.
Yeah.
Easy improvements, I guess.
I think so.
All right.
Moving on. We got an update from Mr. RTZ, Mr. Artur. I have decided to step down from the Dota roster of Shopify Rebellions. Following the conclusion of TI 23, I was enthusiastic about creating and developing a new roster with Shopify's unwavering support. However, as time progressed, it became evident that I was not adequately prepared for the challenges of leading a new team and establishing its culture. My efforts progressively diminished, and I contributed to the team's decline and eventual demise. On a personal note, competing in Dota without some of my closest friends and former teammates has made me consider taking a break. In the short term, I plan to stick around by streaming on Twitch, playing Dota, and remaining actively engaged in both the Dota community and with Shopify. While my long-term plans are hard to predict, I've been considering moving to Europe to be able to continue improving and participate in competitive Dota again. I'm still with Shopify as for now, as I decide my future plans. I want to extend my sincere appreciation, etc., 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 etc. So
it's really big praise that he gives to Jeremy in the end, I think. I want to highlight that because he says, I also want to express a special shout out to Jeremy. Our initial conversations left me with the same impression I had experienced when meeting Alex Garfield for the first time. I think if you're not very much into like esports history or whatever, Alex Garfield is considered as one of the, greatest to do it in terms of org management, right? And just running a company. Obviously, he had EG in the golden age of that org, and then eventually when EG was sold is when we had the complete downfall. But he made multiple statements after that happened of how he was disappointed in how EG were running the org and the name and changing the brand and everything into the ground. And effectively, we know how EG ended up. So, but yeah, everyone I've heard talking about Alex Garfield kept him in very high regard. So when RTZ writes this, I think whatever Shopify is going, this puts Shopify in a very positive light for me. It's obviously just one person saying something about one person, but it's a pretty strong statement when RTZ says that about him. So that's good to hear, at least in all of this. Obviously, it's a shame that Shopify didn't do well. I think a lot of people are happy to see RTZ take a break because they love his stream, and he's been streaming a lot. He's been streaming Dota, as well as I think he did a playthrough of Elden Ring as well that he was streaming that people were enjoying. So I think he's probably enjoying taking a little break, to be honest. Sometimes that's what it takes. And if he is going to move to Europe, I wish him best of luck. I think that is probably, if he wants to get back to competing at the top level, that is probably his only option, to be honest. I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, NA is effectively borderline dead now. Like
it's dead. Yeah.
There's Nouns, and then Shopify were playing against Nouns, but Shopify weren't, as at least according to RTZ himself, weren't putting in the work, so they weren't good enough. And then there's a significant gap down to the third best team. And if Shopify unless they reinvigorate their roster and find some way of being better, then I think it's a one-team region, which sucks. That's not great. So I hope NA can find a way to get back on the map, but seeming less likely by the day.
Well, before we get on to the second part of this, not often. First of all, this is a really well-written tweet or whatever this was. Not often you have players taking some of the blame, so that's cool to see, especially somebody that's like a superstar type personality. Yeah. And just kind of being, I don't know. I always root for RTZ. I don't know what he's like on a team, but in my interactions with him, he's always been, honestly, just a stand-up guy. So I've never had any issues with him at all. So hopefully he does. I mean, first of all, I don't know how much money he's made, but he could probably retire if he wanted, honestly.
There is no doubt he could.
And it's not just from tournament winnings. It's from sponsors and
his salaries have probably been very high. Yeah, all of it. I mean, he has the luxury of taking a break for as long as he needs, but it's not like he's doing nothing, right? If he's building and actively doing something with his stream, and he says that he continues with Shopify, so I don't know if he's going to make like content with them or some sort of strategy, maybe help them with building their new Dota team, whatever it is. But he'll be all right. I think the thing that stuck with me the most in this, which is maybe something I hadn't thought about that much, is for some people it matters more than others who their teammates are, and I say that as the teams that are successful have good chemistry, have good internal relations, etc. for the vast majority, at least. But RTZ in his career, he played with a few players almost all the time, and then this year was the first time he played with none of them, right? So that's what he said. competing without my closest friends. Maybe that's really important to him, and he hopes that by moving to Europe, he can reconnect and get perhaps on a team with someone like Crit that he played with forever. But yeah, that's got to be a different experience. And unfortunately, when your path is like this and you play with the same people all the time like that, perhaps he wasn't really fully prepared for how big of a shift it is when you've been effectively in a work relationship with the same people for 5, 6, 7 years, and then everything changes and the expectations for you are just the same as before.
Yeah, and I think some people forget. I know there's been a lot of flame towards RTZ because his performances, I mean, it's not even just him, it's just the team's performances have not been up to what people expect. I mean, he's still one of the best players of all time. He's had, even though he's not won TI or a major, which is crazy to think about.
The uncrowned king.
He has still been very successful. So,
yeah,
wish him the best. Hopefully he can figure things out, and be pretty fucking hyped to see him play on a European team and see how he's able to progress his career.
Yeah, the last time he did that was Secret in 2016, I think.
Yeah, that didn't go well, but that was
a team that was meant to win TI, but then didn't.
Yeah.
They won a lot of other stuff, right? That year, I think. He had multiple LAN wins, just not TI.
Just not a major, right? I don't know if majors
were
a thing at that time.
I think they won like 5 LANs that year. Maybe they won multiple in a row even, just not... I think they were massive favorites going into TI because they had won like 2 or 3 things leading up to it, if I remember correctly. Anyway. Yep.
Best of luck to him. Quick note for the Shopify Rebellion roster right now for the term. What's the term that's happening? It's...
I'm blanking right now.
Whatever the term is called. Their roster right now is Pakaz, Yopaj, Saberlight, Kitrak, and Skem. With Bulba as the coach. So honestly, pretty good roster. Saberlight back on to the team again, it seems. So should be an interesting one to see. But yeah, I think NA is kind of mega fucking dead right now, which is not great for Dota.
Yeah, just to clarify, the tournament is Elite League Season 2. I had to check because I couldn't remember. But yeah, it's starting today. So
I mean, what do you think of the fact that Europe, and I'm combining Eastern Europe and Western Europe here, that region to me is just so far ahead of every other. How does it equalize from here? Because South America, it's not like they're bad, but they're not going to be placing high at tournaments in all likelihood. NA is the worst region now, easily. SEA feels like they have a couple flash in the pans with like group stage and they just flame out. There is just a huge separation from Europe. And
the
China
best way...
is, it's not nearly as... I mean, China's probably the 3rd best region, which, considering their results, that's not great.
The best way to equalize it would be for the top teams of those regions to go to Europe and practice. Play scrims with the best teams there, play pubs there, get their ideas, and then go home and play their tournaments from there. But that's not likely to happen, right? But that is honestly my best suggestion for closing the gap. Because I think the problem is every region has like its own flair or whatever, but Europe's just better. So it's like you can have your little... I guess it's also a little bit unfair to say because things have normalized a little bit across the board with how teams play. But I think Dota is so much a game of feel that if you don't get the day-to-day experience of playing it out and feeling it out against the best teams in the world all the time, then that's one of the problems that SA has. Who can they practice against? They can practice against NA, which is 1.5 teams, I guess. Maybe it's 2 teams. We'll see how good Shopify are now. They might get a, reinvigoration and play really well.
Yeah, South America are kind of screwed with location. North America, if you're East Coast, which you would have to be, you can play Europe. I think it's fine.
But you're playing at a ping disadvantage. So then it's
Regardless, that's going to make you better still.
I agree. I think that's the best option. And I do think that's also what Shopify and Nouns do, is that I would expect them to be scrimming against Western European teams, not just SA.
I mean, do you think that maybe we're thinking of this in the wrong way, and that Europe, there's tons of teams that are like PSG Quest, gatekept for so long. You see how well they do at this tournament. What's stopping them from moving to another region and just dominating? I think they Quest just get worse by doing that.
I think Quest could be the best team in SA, for example, right now. I think they would be.
Of course.
I think they could also be the best team in China.
Yeah.
But, you know...
I would say they'd be the best team in literally all the regions that aren't Eastern or Western Europe.
They would have a claim to top 3, I think. I don't think I can say hand on heart that they would just be better than all the Chinese teams, for example. Because it's like... They're playing really well, and they've improved, and I'm really happy for them to see that, especially TA2000. It's really great to see him do well. I always thought that guy was a very underrated player. But to just flat out say they would be the best team in any other region, I think is a bit of a bold claim.
I think so, huh?
But they would easily be top 3 in any other region, which is way better than they are in Europe, right? So it's clear that that's true. But at the same time, let's say, like you said, let's entertain the idea that they move. I think they get worse.
Yeah. Probably.
So if your ultimate goal is to win championships, then you can move to a region and win locally. But then if all the money and all the glory is in the big international tournament, shouldn't you be playing in the pressure chamber all the time to reach your limit?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what you do. And then you accept that, all right, our region is really hard. We're not going to qualify for every tournament. But when we do, we have a shot. And hopefully they're also doing fine in terms of like org deals and whatnot, so that they don't rely on results to, you know, get by. In that case, it's a little bit safer, less volatile.
I think competitive Dota is kind of a weird spot because of this regional disparity.
Yeah. Did you? How much did you go over the Shopify Rebellion roster? I think you just mentioned the players, right? Yeah. But not any more detail. So to me, it's interesting to see Saberlight being back, right? Because he had his post about how the internal workings of the team, the power dynamic and whatever, he felt like he didn't really get to. It sounded like it was mutual that he left the roster, but now that RTZ's out, he's back, so maybe they weren't working out too well together, or the dynamic that a team around RTZ had wasn't his cup of tea, whatever it was. But he's back, and then my number 1 player from SA is now playing for this team, which is Pakaz. It's him and Whisper, who for me have always been, or I say always, for a couple of years now, have been the standouts in that region that I think have the highest ceiling. We'll see if this turns out to be a good or a bad decision for Pakaz. It's bold, right? This is, like we talked about, a region that isn't doing too well. He's probably getting a good deal. I would imagine he's getting his highest salary ever here, maybe aside from the EG team that he played for in SA, but I don't know how good their deal actually was because it was during EG's decline. But yeah, I would imagine this is his best contract to date, and he's really good. So maybe Shopify can make this work.
How's his English? Do you know?
That was my secondary question. I don't know how good his English is, but they have a very international team here. So that is going to be a challenge if his English is not the best. We'll see. I mean, Whisper is doing quite well in OG, and supposedly his English wasn't that good, and it has improved over time. He's still maybe not the biggest speaker or whatever, but I mean, Whisper is putting up some monster performances in OG in some of their games. So I think he can still... Mm-hmm. If Pakaz can mirror that, then that'd be fine.
All right. Final topic is something that is 3 weeks old. Apologies. This happened on June 39th, of course. Crownfall Act 3 came out with the collector's cash. Don't worry. For all the people that hate that segment, we won't be going over the sets. We will be talking about the Crownfall itself briefly. And I say briefly, for myself at least. You can expand as much as you want, but today was the first day I got to play Dota since I left. So I did get to play the Sleet Fighter, which very fucking cool. I think I actually did get it to work with my controller, which was awesome. But then when I hit start, it doesn't tell me what the keys are, like the appropriate, like X, A, B. It still uses the keyboard shortcuts. So I have to figure that one out. But this is not something I think any of us were expecting. Like a mini game, this one seems very involved, which is really fucking cool. That's the only thing I've gotten to explore so far, though, on this Crownfall.
And it begs the question: is this a proof of concept? Is what some people could be hoping for. That because Valve with their IP, they've tried to do something else with Dota. They did Underlords, they did Artifact. They tried to use the universe in other ways. They didn't really hit. Maybe this is a possible test, or it's just a fun minigame. But I think making a minigame like this is actually a lot of work.
This feels like it's a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going. I don't know how much they like recycle stuff that they already have and kind of just upscale it or whatever, but it feels like this isn't just something you just make in a week,
It does feel a little off, and I think maybe it's just the animation, the way it looks is like, it almost looks like is that what it's called? Stop animation? No.
Is it something called stop
motion?
Stop motion.
I think it's stop motion animation, like with the figurines or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just, it almost makes it look like it's really low FPS because you're just used to this being in a 3D environment that's good FPS, but
right.
Obviously it's a mini game, so it's not going to be perfect, but yeah, it's really cool. I highly, highly, highly doubt they will ever pursue this. What's that Riot one they're making? They had the shittiest name. It was like Project L to start, but now it's like XKO or something horrible.
Can't remember.
It is legitimately, it's like Microsoft came up with the name of that game. It is the worst name of any game I have ever heard of. I could not believe they agreed to that. Holy shit. 2XKO. Thank you to our chat. What a fucking dog shit name. Like, legitimately, if I'm the CEO of a company and somebody makes that the name of one of my products, instant fire. I don't care who you are. That's so bad. You are fired forever. That's so fucking bad, man.
Think about it, though. Then they can make the expansion pack, and then it can be 2XKO Series X.
Yeah. 2XKO. Holy shit, man.
It's pretty far down my list as well. That sounds pretty fucking bad. It doesn't really roll off the tongue either for commentary, does it?
No. So, have you been going through the Crownfall at all?
No, I haven't actually.
Great, that's very useful.
I have not been playing Dota recently, but I do want to start playing more again. So, but
you said this weeks ago.
Yeah, but back then I was playing more again, but now I took a break again, and now I'm going to be playing more again.
I saw a couple of screenshots.
It comes and goes in waves for me, to be honest. It's connected with, it's also connected with event work, right? For me, it's like a mix of, I play Dota if I'm motivated to improve or to play ranked, and the other motivating factor is that I'm doing commentary, right? It's because I want to know what I'm talking about.
What about for fun?
I have a break.
You ever just play for fun?
Yeah, that's the problem, because I like playing Dota for fun, but for a while, especially in Immortal matchmaking, they're making it really hard. That's, with these... There's been countless threads on Reddit at this point, and I've written to Valve personally with suggestions for how to improve Immortal matchmaking because of what it is. And yeah, I could just play unranked, I guess. And the thing is, I don't really feel like playing unranked by myself. If some friends wanted to play a game here or there, that's fun. I can do that. But I'm not going to sit down and... That's just not me. I don't like playing unranked on my own. So for me, the solo play experience in this game is the ranked experience. And unfortunately, recently, it's just been very bad with Immortal Draft, how it works with people drafting the teams, with the double down tokens, which made it infinitely worse because people are just effectively match fixing. A lot of the games, it's just not a good system, and there's been countless complaints. So Valve should absolutely be aware of it, and I hope they're fixing it. But it's taking some time. Ultimately, the Immortal Draft, if you remember, the way they announced it was like, "All right, we're putting the power in your hands. Now you have no one to blame but yourselves." But guess what? People aren't great, so if you literally release the Wild West, people will fuck it up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I genuinely think Immortal Draft is worse than just old normal matchmaking with nothing. That's where we're at. That's my take. I think it's a failed experiment. Valve like doing experiments. Some work, some don't. This one didn't, and I think it's completely fine now that it's run its course to just say that. Be like, all right, we tried this. It wasn't good. resetting it back to having matchmaking like everybody else does should take no time, right? That's effectively just reverting it to the matchmaking of the other skill brackets. That should be pretty straightforward.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
If funny. Something like this happened to me, if I was in your shoes, what do you think would happen? What do you think I would do?
Make a Smurf?
No. Do you think I'd make a Smurf? Seriously?
No. If you were in my shoes, how do you... So, what do you mean?
What I would have done?
Oh, you mean you would have lost your shit? Okay, got it.
Not only would I have lost my heated part of the podcast, it would be a segment. It would turn into a literal segment.
Immortal Draft Rant. That's going to get tired really fast. It's literally just you whining about shit.
Yeah, games. And that eventually will brainwash enough people to be upset on my behalf, and then maybe things will get changed.
I mean, this is the problem, right? I don't know how many front page threads I've seen on Reddit about this now. I think it's over 10 over the last month or two. And this is about 1% of their player base, maybe 2, that this really affects. So a lot of people, they will still upvote it, but it doesn't really affect them. The fact that there's so many threads and they get that traction really shows how significant the problem is. Because the majority of people don't have to care, right? But I guess they see it on the streams that they watch, on their favorite pro players, whatever it is. And then there's obviously the small subsection of the subreddit that actually play in the games. Yeah, they're just not good. It's sometimes a spade is just a spade, and this system is a fucking spade. All right, it's bad. And it has absolutely, I can say unequivocally, played a huge part in how little Dota I've played in the last few months. Is the Immortal Draft system itself. And then, like I said, motivation comes and goes. It does for everyone. You're more motivated to play more if you're targeting a goal, such as like playing pro or trying to beat your personal best at something. Or in my case, mainly for casting, right? For being better at presenting the game and understanding what's going on. But if I have nothing, like right now, right? I haven't had any event for a while now. So then I just chill and then I'll start playing again.
Well, how about this, Cinderin? How about we start doing an A to Z turbo mode? What do you think? That'll get you motivated to play.
Okay. I'll play.
Chat. I guess YouTube comments.
Expect?
No, because we've already talked about this, actually, but it was a good segue. Let us know in the comments.
What a spontaneous idea.
Let us know in the comments if that is something that you guys would like. If for people that don't know, we had a pretty popular show a long time ago on Dota Cinema called the A to Z Challenge. We would start on both ends of the alphabet, and one of us would play one of those 2 heroes.
No, we started on one end of the alphabet.
No.
We played them in pairs alphabetically.
Did we? What?
Yeah.
Okay, we did it again the second time, and we did the opposite.
The second time we tried to do it from both ends, but the games were really bad and the queues were long, and it was a pain because to get an even entertaining game, we had to play 3 or 4 or 5 games because there were griefers, leavers, long queues, bad game quality, all of it. It was just shit. But I think Turbo, like you suggested, which is a great suggestion, is going to make it less... I mean, it'll be shorter form content because the games are shorter, but I think we would still do full games, and the chance, the impact of griefing or whatever is probably going to be significantly lower.
Yeah, because I'll be more griefing because the MMR is going to be so drastically in your favor.
I mean, that's been the same in the games we played on normally as well.
Yeah, I know. That's the joke.
But you weren't griefing.
Well, in a way.
No.
Depends on your perspective.
That's all right.
It's funny. Whenever I think of A to Z Challenge, what are the 2 heroes you think of?
Bloodseeker Bounty Hunter? Was that the one?
Yeah. That's funny. After it's been has it been over 10 years now? I think of this 2 same heroes. That was the best one.
It hasn't been that long, but it's been over 5, I think.
Dude, you don't think it's been 20?
Let me check.
I think it's been over 10 years.
Our first. Sure. Wow. Holy.
Yeah, we're old, man.
Let me see. Bloodseeker Bounty Hunter. 10 years ago.
Oh. What date?
Wow.
What's the exact date? Is it over 10 years?
May 12th. Yeah, right. Holy shit! It's been 10 years.
God damn. We are old motherfuckers, man.
If you put me on the spot, I would have guessed like 7.
Nah.
Damn.
No, because I think of like I look at the years like TIs. It's TI4. We knew each other since TI2.
Yeah.
2 years. Surely we did A to Z by then. Or some of it at least. And that's an early one in the A to Z. It's the Bs, after all. Okay.
You have a final thing on the outline. Do you want to talk about that today?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know what you think of the A to Z Turbo Mode channel. That's actually a pretty good name. If it's something you guys would like to watch. Apparently with YouTube stuff, I have not kept up with the metagame, how you do this shit with the algorithm. Apparently you're supposed to make new channels for everything now. And you don't change the type of video you're posting. I don't know. I don't understand why they've made it this way. It's so fucking stupid.
Just got to play the game, I guess.
Yeah, so we'll make something else. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode. We don't really talk about Crownfall too much because neither of us have gotten to play. Yours by just sheer incompetence, of course, and mine because I was working.
I would have chosen.
I was working really hard in rehearsal, sweating my balls off in the studio.
We'll get caught up on it though. I mean, if you want to play, we can just play some games as well, right?
Yeah,
just
true.
Either for some turbo challenge thing or just play turbo. If you want to just play.
We could play Sleet Fighter against each other, actually.
Oh yeah.
Just got to get my controller to work properly. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next week, Suns Fan Centered signing out. Have a good one. Peace.
Bye.
We say things that don't mean
Subscribe.
anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah.